Don't gangbang, it ain't worth it.
Before Bobby Shmurda dropped his track, before the Shmoney dance would blow up on Vine and take over the internet as well as nightclubs throughout 2014, Bobby received mad respect from the likes of Jay-Z, Beyonce, DJ Mustard, Meek Mill, Raekwon, and had his work remixed by practically everyone in the industry, before Tom Hardy and Leonardo DiCaprio joked about a Bobby Shmurda reference being cut from The Revenant.
Which never made the cut, the Bobby Shmurda line. Shut your trap house. Yeah.
Before Bobby Shmurda would be sent to prison on conspiracy to commit murder, reckless endangerment, as well as drug and gun possession charges with bail set at $2 million. Bobby Shmurda was born Aquil Pollard, and he had roots both in the north and in the south, which would go on to play a role in his artistic style. Now, the kid had a case of ADD. He was always performing and was keeping people entertained, but he was also a bit of a troublemaker and constantly getting into fights. Now, he would hang out with his brother's older crew, and this would toughen him up, and they were heavily involved in street gang culture, and he too at a young age would get involved. He wasn't hustling on the streets. He got to work with his own makeshift studio, and he would remix tracks from his favorite artists including 50 Cent and Jay-Z, but the guy kept getting in trouble with the law, and he was sent to correctional facilities multiple times. When he wasn't doing that, well, he would focus on his music, and that's when he finally dropped in the summer of 2014, and as quickly as he rose to fame, well, he would find himself locked up behind bars, and it seems like they're trying to throw away the key. What's going on, guys? My name is Michael McCrudden, documenting the life and career of Bobby Shmurda prior to fame, here for you on Before They Were Famous. Now, you guys requested this video way back in the day, but it took me a long time to get it done because things have been really busy. Be sure to let me know, as always, in the comments down below who you want to hear about next. In this video, I got a feeling it's going to be a good one. Bobby Shmurda was born Aquil Jean Pollard on August 4th, 1994 in Miami, Florida, to a Jamaican father and a Trinidadian mother. 2 months after his birth, his father Jervis was locked up in prison on attempted first-degree murder charges. That's when his mother Leslie decided to relocate both Aquil and his older brother Jarvis to Brooklyn, New York. There they would grab an apartment in East Flatbush at 139 East and 53rd Street. Throughout his youth, he would frequently travel back to Florida so he could meet with his father. He would also visit his grandparents as well as his uncle, but while in Brooklyn, he recalls he spent the majority of his time outside his apartment housing complex where there would be a boombox and he would rhyme with all of his boys. The brothers recall some important advice given to them by their father. He stated that they needed to stay out of street life as well as to build up a close circle of friends, the latter of which they certainly listened to. With his pals from the apartment complex, they formed their own crew, which would later be known as GS9, which stands for God's Soldiers or God's Sons, but has also been referred to as Gun Squad or Grimy Savage 90s and even G-Stone Crips. The two brothers would be known as Shmurdas. Originally it was Savage, but it got changed to Shmurda. What's that mean? Let's have Bobby tell us himself.
It doesn't mean like just murder, like, you know, it means like Shmurda, like it means like from the hood, like the type of mentality we had, you know, like it's like an aggressive mentality, you know.
From there, Aquil became known as Bobby on the streets and his brother as Jaw Jaw. Now the two boys, they would become obsessed with music. Bobby was introduced to Michael Jackson by his brother, and because he had some ADD and was the showman of the bunch, well, he learned Michael Jackson's moves immediately and then would dance absolutely everywhere he went. Now his mother, she worked for Verizon in customer service, so she was able to gift her boy a laptop, and there he would make his own studio at his home where he would make remixes of his favorite artist tracks, including the work of 50 Cent, Jay-Z, Tupac, Biggie, Lil Wayne, Juvenile, and Trick Daddy. Cause he's a thug. I used to like Trick Daddy. No one saw that coming. The first song he ever remixed was Crime Mob's Knuck If You Buck, and he did this when he was only 10. Hard work gained him some notoriety around his complex, and he no longer had to do any Michael Jackson moves. Everyone said that he was a very talented young man and that he belonged on television. But he didn't take that too seriously. He was interested in making money and he wanted to make it now. At school, he was notorious for being a fighter and also being a little smooth with the ladies. He would hang with guys his brother's age and had to toughen up quickly. By the time they hit the 9th grade, the older boys, they were dealing on corners, and young Bobby, he wanted to get in on the action. At 14, he witnessed the harsh reality of the gang life that he was getting involved in when a close friend was shot at a graduation party. This was a crime that has never been solved. At the age of 15, well, Bobby, he found himself on the other side of the law when he got a charge for assault, and then he later broke his probation when he was caught smoking weed. He was then sent for the first time to a youth detention center, and while he was there, well, more members of GS9, they would perish, and when Bobby got out, well, he wouldn't be on the streets for long. He would soon go back for new charges, including gun possession. After 15 months locked away, he came home, and this time he was serious about making some music, which was great news for the boys of GS9 because they wanted to join him in his endeavor. But at this time, the streets were extremely hot and a lot of people were dying due to gangs and violence, and around this time, a wire had been placed within the GS9 organization. While cruising online, Bobby found a track produced by Jahil Beats that had been used by Lloyd Banks for his track Jackpot in 2012. He got a hold of Jahil Beats and he was able to work his own material onto the music, and that's when the world was introduced to. This was released as a digital download on July 25th, 2014, and it, along with the Shmoney Dance, well, it was absolutely everywhere. Additionally, several unofficial remixes by various rappers would also be released, and the song would peak at number 6 on the US Billboard Hot 100 and also go platinum. Now, there were very few people in the industry who were mesmerized by this track. Jay-Z and Beyonce, during their On the Run tour, well, they stopped to show Bobby Shmurda a bit of love, and Beyonce, she even did her own rendition of the Shmoney Dance. Meek Mill told Bobby that he would soon hook up with him and brought him up on stage, as did Raekwon. Fabulous, Yo Gotti, and Lil Durk, they all reached out to Shmurda to collab, and DJ Mustard threw at him some beats. But during all this success, the cops were still keeping a close eye on GS9, and they caught Bobby Shmurda on tape talking about packing heat, as well as his fear of the opposition. Soon there were gunshots on his block, and him and his crew got arrested and charged, but they were soon released. 1 year later, after the release of his big single, well, Bobby Shmurda had his coming out party when Meek Mill invited him out to Miami and had him take the stage. There, Bobby Shmurda and GS9, well, they took meetings with Rick Ross as well as Atlantic Records. They performed in front of LA Reid and all his executives, and eventually they would decide to sign with Epic Records. That was a deal valued over 7 figures, and it was all before Bobby had turned the age of 20. In November, Epic released its first Bobby Shmurda EP, Shmurda She Wrote, and he performed his hit song live. Just as soon as they had caught the attention of mainstream media, well, then it was all over. Armed forces, they broke into Quad Studios in New York and arrested 13 GS9 members. The charges against Bobby Shmurda and his boys were weapon possession, conspiracy to commit murder, and to commit assault, as well as possession of drug paraphernalia. And the cops, well, they had been working on this case for quite some time, and they had a whole bunch of evidence stockpiled that the boys were still into selling crack, as well as conspiring to kill rival gang members. James Essick, the head of the department that led the arrests on this group, well, he went on to say that although rap songs can't be used as official evidence in court, everything that Bobby Shmurda had been stating in his interviews and in his songs were basically a real-life documentation of what was actually going on. Bobby is still behind bars, and bail has been set at $2 million. Now that's 10 times higher than it would be for someone else of these same charges. So, well, his argument is that he came from a nasty neighborhood and people are just trying to keep him down. They might be right. I don't know. And the rest of the story, well, we'll have to wait and see. This is Before They're Famous. My name is Michael McGregor. Thanks for checking out my personal channel. I do all sorts of celebrity bios on here. I've done a whole lot of rappers on this channel. Likely anyone you're thinking of, I've probably done. If they haven't been done, well, I've got a few more coming this week, and of course I'll get to them in the future. Be sure to let me know if you want to hear about somebody else, and let me know what you think about Bobby Shmurda's arrest. Is he innocent, or does he belong behind bars? I think a lot of you guys are going to say innocent. Anyway, look forward to reading your comments. See you guys in another video.
With them 16s, we gon' put some shots on them.